Alright guys, welcome back. This is Central Florida Prepper. Today I do have a treat for you. As you may remember, I promised to be doing a collaboration video, and we finally got the first one finished. This video is with Magic Prepper. He is a prepper, hence the name. He is based out of North Dakota, and for those who are not subscribed to him, I will be popping up a link at the end of the video. Definitely make sure you go over there and subscribe. Check out his videos. He's got a lot of good stuff. But today's video will be discussing the dangers that one may face in the city during shit hits the fan. I also want to announce that this channel has broke 8,000 views. We started the first week of April, and we've already generated over 8,000 views. So yes, congratulations to all y'all. Our subscriber count is like 256 as of today. I'll be honest with you, when I first started, I was really surprised to even break 10 subscribers. I figured I would just have a handful of people that I personally knew watching these videos. I know the internet goes everywhere, but I never thought the channel was going to be growing like it is. So definitely thank you all for sticking around and helping this channel out. So without carrying this on any further, I hope you enjoy the video.
All right, well, today we're going to discuss the different dangers and possibilities out there after an SHTF scenario. There's a lot of different situations that you can run into that maybe not everybody has thought of after a collapse, and we're going to just kind of talk about some of those and try to bring to light some different ideas for how you might be able to approach those situations.
Absolutely. And that's another thing that so everyone knows, this is complete STHF. Sorry, I'm actually dyslexic. I got electrocuted years ago and kind of fried up some things.
Yeah, that's fair. At least you're used to the electricity now,
Yeah. Oh no, I stay away from electricity. Yeah, so yeah, we definitely want to discuss today on the dangers of going into the city. And like we were discussing earlier while we were getting ready for this video, even though we're preppers and we try to have everything in order in our homes or our bug out location, things like that, a disaster can strike at any time, and disasters that we have no control of. So let's just say scenario that you lose all your preps that you've been ready for. What are you going to do now? Some say to go to the cities to try to restock. Well, we're going to be discussing the dangers of going into the city.
Yeah, and obviously the number one rule for trying to stay away from any of that trouble that might show up in the city is going to be avoidance, right?
Yes.
That's why we put together stock food piles. That's why we put together different types of storage for water and any other resource that we might need, so that there's less need for us to travel outside of our location. Everyone knows, shelter is one of the first things you need in any survival situation, even just getting lost in the woods. And the reason for that is because it has safety attached to it. And obviously that's what we'd be looking for in that kind of an event.
Yep. So yeah, one of the first things I wanted to pop up was the immediately after things happen, the riots. Alright, obviously you do not want to be stuck in the city, let alone be going into the city with mobs of people vandalizing and destroying things. Now granted, most of these people will be in search at commercial and industrial complexes looking for food, firearms, other gear like that. So as a prepper, those are things that you'll be looking for, but are you really going to want to deal with 300 people? Alright, personally I'd be trying to stay away from that. That is a danger right there.
Well, and if you are part of the riot or whatever, kind of a raucous scenario that's going on, post collapse, where everybody's trying to demand food or demand resources, and they expect, FEMA or some government agency to hand all that stuff out. You go around looting and vandalizing and destroying things. If you're part of that, I mean, obviously you're one of the people that is signing up now for a quick situation where you are no longer going to be able to survive. I mean, if you're going to be part of that kind of a mob mentality, you're going to be dealt with the same way that a mob deals with anything else. As soon as you're in the way, or as soon as you're not a resource, or as soon as you consume too many resources, you're going to be let go. And, staying away from those crowds is, probably the best idea you can do. But, if you're going to join up and be one of those people, then you might as well just have, written your life away at that point.
Yeah, exactly. And, part of the whole mob thing, I mean, you're going in there to go get food, water, whatever it is, that supplies that you now need, that because you lost your supplies. Think of this, the city holds millions. Everybody else is going to be looking for the exact same thing. So you're going in to get supplies, and you got everybody else. And don't think that you're the only person that's got a firearm, okay? This country's got a lot of firearms, all right? So you're going to run in to go get gear, and hey, you just run across 30 guys with a gun, like we had discussed previously in other conversations. The mentality of running to Walmart. What's your thoughts on that one?
Well, I think it's one of my favorite things that somebody who doesn't really want to plan for shtf or isn't really in the prepper mindset, it's my favorite thing they like to bring up. I'll explain to them, well, why do you have all this food stocked up over here? Or why do you have all this ammunition? I like to prepare, like to make sure I don't have to go out and, acquire things in case things are dangerous. And their response is, I'll just go to Walmart, or I'll go to Sportsman's Warehouse, or, I'll go to Costco, and, they got everything you need there. Yeah. And it just makes me laugh, and I try not to even explain why they shouldn't do that at that point, because I know it's probably pointless. But it's a mentality so many people share that you're basically going to find a giant exodus headed towards Walmart in the event that does happen, because everybody's smarter than the next person, and that was the plan they came up with,
Yep. Yeah, exactly. I mean, just look at Black Friday sales alone. Everybody's stomping on top of each other just for a sale to save $20. Yeah, that's something I want to try to avoid, and it's definitely a dangerous scenario. I mean, I don't feel like getting shot, but now I do want to bring up that other topic we discussed about the lone wolf prepper. I mean, you got a lot of insight on this about dangers of not just being a lone wolf prepper, but the dangers of other lone wolves that are out there.
Yeah, well, and the lone wolf mentality is a pretty popular one, and I understand it. I feel that it is easier to manage yourself in a situation where, being discreet or stealthy is very important, and not wanting to alert anybody of your presence. It's very hard to manage groups of people to stay quiet, or to, not step on that, broken glass when being quiet is very important. There's a lot of things that happen with groups that you can try to avoid by yourself. But those same lone wolf style preppers are going to be, highly, on alert. They're going to always be very aggressive in the sense of trying to make sure that they are, kept safe and alive. And I feel like being alone is just going to heighten that fear that, people are either watching you or looking out for you. And it's going to put, you in that mentality of, I have to watch my back, I have to look over my shoulder, everybody's out to get me. And so when you interact with one of those people, their first thought is going to be whether or not it's worth your interaction, or if it's putting them in danger. And at that point, if they feel like they're in danger, they might act on that. And, obviously that's going to put you in a dangerous scenario as well. So if you're planning on going to a big box department store as a lone wolf prepper, when there's, possibly a crowd of 100 plus inside of the store already that might not have a bunch of signs out telling you they're there, but might just be waiting for people like you to show up, you are now putting yourself in an extremely dangerous situation, all because you're unwilling to accept the idea that having additional help from a group is going to be very valuable in that situation.
Absolutely. That's another thing about working with a community, having a team with you. If you got to go in, you can't watch your back all the time. All right, you go into the city. You know what? I think everyone should actually just walk down the sidewalk one day and look at all the buildings around you. You're going to be able to cover every single one of those windows. Okay, someone can set up a sniper position over an overlook. All right, you're done. I mean, you a single person cannot watch everything around you. You're trying to look ahead. You got your objective, if you even have your objective. Because I've talked to some preppers that go, well, I'll just go into the city and get what I need. All right, do you even know where to go to get what you need? No, you didn't even plan on that. Didn't do any research. I mean, like, we here at the house, we started printing off maps of our local area using Google Maps. That way I know exactly what every store is down that street. Well, I got a bad memory, so I have to have that paperwork. That way I can plan my moves out. I know how long it's going to take. But even at that, let's say I'm going down that way and I do have a group and we encountered somebody else is bunkered in. All right, let's say someone got to Walmart before we did and now they got 20 guys in there. They're locked and loaded and we get him down. It's not a video game. I mean, there's no reset button. I know people say, well, I'll just scout ahead. Okay, trying to scout ahead, that's a good idea. You definitely want to scout ahead. But think about how many people that are in the city. You go walking into the city, especially going towards a food source that you think still got food, there's going to be a lot of people watching you. And we don't even know what type of communication setup they have. All right, if it's not a CME or an EMP that took out electronics or some other disaster has happened and they still got connection, they're calling things in. I mean, just look at overseas where they use the cell phones to call in troop movements all the time. They go down to do something and then the next thing you know they're swarmed in because they communicate and they're waiting for them. So yeah, you're going to have spotters watching you while you go in. You got to have more people than just yourself. And I know people like to use the whole gray man scenario. Gray man's good if you're trying to get out of a city. You want to kind of blend in while you're getting out. But if you're going into a city after disasters hit, people's going to be watching you. They're going to be very suspicious of you. So yeah, I don't get into the whole belief that, oh, I'm a gray man, so I'm going to go in and get what I want and get out. All right, I am a clumsy person. All right, I've gained weight, so there's no way I'm going to be hurdling, roadblocks and things like that in complete stealth right now, especially if I'm carrying gear.
Okay. Well, I think, talking about the lone wolf idea and especially going back into an urban environment and then the whole gray man situation, right? People have this idea of gray man being almost invisible, if I wear, regular colored clothing, I don't wear anything tactical, I'm not wearing camouflage or anything like that, no one's going to notice me because I'm just like any other guy. But no matter what, if you're at an urban environment and you're trying to scavenge, you're going to be noticed. It doesn't matter what you're wearing, And where I live, gray man can easily be wearing camouflage, wearing tactical gear. Out here in North Dakota, every other guy you see walking down the street is wearing camouflage, So it does depend on where you're at, but I don't think that's going to suddenly save you from anyone watching your movements, And I agree with you, leaving a city is one thing, trying not to bring attention and just getting out. The gray man idea definitely applies well. But, even when you go on different forums and stuff and people are saying, well, just get like a Walmart, purple backpack, because you don't want your bug out bag to bring so much attention to you. Yeah, I just don't agree with that mentality because I need a bag that's going to be capable and be able to get me, to, point B after a situation that requires sturdier gear and something more robust, and I don't think dumbing down all of your essentials and all your gear is worth the whole concept that, oh, well, that guy, he's got a purple backpack on, so I'm not going to worry about him too much, but that guy over there with the tactical, molly webbing bag is definitely going to be a problem.
Yeah.
Either way, if I'm walking down the street in the middle of the night, someone's going to be watching me and thinking I'm suspicious.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that mentality gets people in trouble as well. And the lone wolf idea, going into an urban environment or even any environment, if you're by yourself, you're a lot more likely to find yourself captured. And I believe, after SHTF, the idea of getting captured could easily move into the idea of something like a forced labor situation, or some kind of modern slavery, I guess you would say, because If you're by yourself, you don't have a group to bail you out after you get surrounded by how many people, even, 2 or 3 could be enough to get you taken away. Next thing you know, you're being forced to, do manual labor because somebody's got to start growing crops and somebody's got to start harvesting water. And a lot of people out there with the manpower and, the firepower aren't going to want to do it themselves.
No, exactly. I mean, you can look at just history alone. Militia groups right now in Africa, they're using villages to farm, grow everything. They go in and steal whatever resources that are supply dropped in. They just take it. So they force people to do what they want. They don't want, farming, things like that is backbreaking. All right, if you have a military or firearm superiority into an area, well, guess what? You don't have to do that anymore. You just got to wait for somebody walking along by themselves and snatch them up. I know some people say, well, I will just go down shooting. I'm a hunter. I can't hunt right now due to legal things. But that means owning a firearm. I can hunt other ways, but I just can't do it with a firearm. But just because you play Modern Warfare, whatever video games out there, does not make you a tactical military operator. I guess is the best way I can put it. All right, I don't care how many stat kills you've got. There is no reset button. When you got somebody firing back at your position, all right, try not to crap yourself. Okay, it's different.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. I've had bullets zip by me, and guess what I did? I hit the freaking dirt. All right, I didn't sit there and pop my head up to see. And that's another thing. You don't even know where the fire is even coming from. It could be coming from anywhere. You got 6, 8 guys throw a gun up in your face. You think you're going to be able to shoot all of them all at once? No.
No, and that's a dangerous mentality to have, being overly confident in your skills when it comes to self-defense or firearms or whatever it may be is a weakness, I'm not prior law enforcement. I'm not a veteran. I haven't had any actual combat experience. So I don't try to, lie about that or try to lie to myself about it and expect myself to, be able to, take on, multiple assailants all at the same time. I do my share of training. I go to the range or, I've done martial arts. So there's a lot of things you can do to try to prepare yourself for, a situation like that. But if you haven't experienced real combat, you're not going to know how you're going to react to it.
Yeah.
And, that's something that I think as preppers, we all have to be very honest with ourselves and mentally prepare for that event, of, all right, the first time I find myself in a shootout or whatever it might be, I have to wonder how I'm going to react or, how I'm going to handle it. And are you the kind of person that has anxiety? Are you going to have a panic attack? Do you have asthma? Are you going to stop breathing? Are you high blood pressure? Do you think you're going to have a heart attack? I mean, those things can actually happen in that, situation because the fear of that moment is going to be real.
Oh, yeah.
And, for myself, someone who's never been in combat, I'm not going to ever be able to, know what that's going to feel like until that actually happens.
Yeah. Yeah, you made a good point on there is that we have to be honest with ourselves. It's so easy to get wrapped up into the Hollywood mentality of end of the world, going to go down the road and go shopping at the mall with no problems, or be, let's just use Denzel Washington in Book of Eli, blind, taking on all these people. No, it's not going to happen. It looks great. It's amazing. I love watching these movies, but it's not going to happen. You're not going to know what you're capable of unless you've been through it. You've been through certain training. All right, you look at Special Forces. They are in training all the time. Yeah, they're badasses, okay? But they can only do so much too. So let's just say, and I'm not saying anything bad about anybody working a 9-to-5 job, sitting behind a desk somewhere playing World of Warcraft. But if you think that you're going to be running around like Rambo afterwards, you got another thing coming.
Yeah, and even guys who do have that experience, some of your military tactical operators out there that obviously there's plenty of different people out on the internet that you can watch or listen to kind of give you advice on that topic. They'll tell you, it's a numbers game. you can have three of the most, awesomely trained guys, dropped off in a remote location, but if they have to go up against a force of 50 plus people, I mean, it's a suicide mission. And it's just it's a numbers game, because firearms, as much as they've done good for us, as, a people, it is the great equalizer. And that means even the guy who hasn't done any military training, if you put a AK-47 in his hands, it's still going to be a problem for someone who is highly trained, because it's just one more round of ammunition coming down range at them that they don't need to deal with.
Yeah, exactly. Another topic on dangers in the city. All right, I don't expect this to happen right off the bat, but given enough time in a post-apocalyptic, basically, because if it's complete shit hits the fan, that's what it's going to be. You're going to have a lot of fanatics, okay? Religious fanatics. If you really think about it, you can even look at the history of the world, okay? There's always been groups and faction using philosophy and things to mold and make people do things that they want to be done. And if a doomsday thing was to pop off, that is the perfect opening for basically a cult that's in charge of an area.
And if they're not one of the Kool-Aid cults, then there might be a problem afterward.
Yeah, the Kool-Aid.
If we get lucky and they all drink the Kool-Aid, we might be okay,
Yeah, they might actually have a stockpile of food, tucked away for you. Then you score.
Yeah, but just don't drink any of that Kool-Aid. You don't know what's in it. So
yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I think fanatics, especially of like a religious nature, will use that opportunity as a way to express their more extreme beliefs. So if you want to talk about stuff that you and I discussed earlier about going Old Testament, and you get some of the people who say, well, the reason this is happening is because, we've been bad, or we're not living, God's word. And, all we need to do is sacrifice, everyone's firstborn son, and then we'll be good to go. And when that doesn't work, it's like, well, it's because, we also have to sacrifice this person. And so, it's not far-fetched for human sacrifice or something, of that level to suddenly become normal again, post-SHTF, because people are very willing to believe in things, especially when it means there's hope, and there's a reason for them to try to survive. But if it takes, cracking a few eggs, it might be worth it, because, this is going to save us all. And that's definitely a scary mentality that I'm sure a lot of people will probably share. Yeah, definitely.
Even the dangers of the people that are already living in the cities right now, when things shut down, you're going to have, and I'm not picking on anybody on this, but your people that's on psychotic medication, mental issues, there are a lot of firebugs in this country. So you got stuff like that running around now, unchecked. They don't have the medication. They're not right in their head. So I can't really blame them, because they don't know they're doing wrong. Now you got that running around. So, and because the city holds more population of people compared to rural and stuff like that, you're going to run into more of that danger in the city than if you live out in the sticks somewhere and hiding out there. But like we discussed, is that if something happens to your prep and you got to go get preps, it's very possible you're going to be running into stuff like this. All right, and if you got body armor, I've talked to people. I've got body armor. I'm good to go. I hate to break it to you, body armor is only going to protect you from immediate death, okay? Now, the whole thing about body armor is it keeps you from immediate death till you can get your wounds checked by a medic and keep you alive. Well, if you're deep in the city and it takes you days to get out and you get shot up in the arm, the leg, whatever, you're going to bleed out. Trauma alone from the impact. If you're not a battle-hardened jarhead, and I'll say that because my dad's a jarhead. If you're not a battle-hardened military guy, it's gonna be a lot to deal with. And if you get shot all up, even though you got your body armor on and your vitals are took care of, you're still gonna bleed out. So that's something to be thinking about. Just because you got a bulletproof vest, don't mean you're 100% protected.
Well, yeah, and it sounds kind of like the same idea as a false sense of security, right? So we all suffer from that a little bit, because A lot of things in our lives give us a false sense of security. My truck being 4-wheel drive gives me a false sense of security that, if I have to go into a snowbank or something, that it's not going to be a big deal. But, we all know that just because you have 4-wheel drive doesn't mean you're going to get through the giant mud pit. So, there's a lot of those things that, we all kind of suffer from. And I think, one of the biggest ones is, the security of our homes, of our bug-in locations. I know we had talked about it earlier, but I'm still, to this day, I'm never going to be, I guess you could say, more upset about the fact that a front door really doesn't stop anything from happening. It really kind of bothers me that you can kick a front door open in one kick. You can put as many wood screws in your face plates as you want. You can, put a security door on the front or whatever you want to do. That's great, but all in all, most people's front doors are just that, and most of them can be breached really easily. And then you add into the equation windows and, the fact that most people's siding on their homes you can get through with a claw hammer, and you don't really have the sense of security you think you do in your house. And, I know that might be another topic down the road for us to cover on, but I think it kind of just falls into that same theme of, thinking you're good when you're really not, and I think body armor is one of those things. I've got a plate carrier, and I've got some armor, and I'm good to go, because if I get shot, it's not going to go through. Well, yeah, in that one instance that might be the case, but it's more of a backup plan than a good to go situation where you are suddenly impenetrable. And it's going to be dangerous when people have that kind of mentality and run around and feel like they don't have to worry about getting shot because of what they're wearing.
Yeah, exactly, and it is false security. I mean, yeah, I would love to keep body armor on, look all tactical, but the fact is, things can still happen. Another topic is going into the city and getting supplies. Let's say you actually do get supplies. All right, if you're trying to be low key, you're only coming out with what you can carry. And back to the point of people watching you, you will have people following you back. They're going to see, if they don't open fire on first, they're going to see what you're doing. You might get away with it the first time, then again you might not. And then you're leading whoever back to your location, back to your home. So that's definitely another thing to be thinking about. I mean, I'm not saying don't go to the city. Obviously you got to resupply somewhere, but these are dangers you're going to have to be constantly watching. You're going to have to sit down somewhere obscured and watch who's following you, okay? Because somebody's going to be following you. They see you come in, get stuff, and then leave. They want to know where you're taking that stuff to. So definitely something you got to worry about.
Well, and I know that we're very forward with the idea that like going to the city in general is not a good idea. Like, we're not saying that you should plan on having to go to the city or any kind of like larger metropolitan area, regardless of size. But what we're also trying to get across is the idea that you might be there anyway. You might be in the city before everything happens, and you might have to leave once everything has happened, and even then people can follow you, because maybe those people are from the city, they live there, and they're saying, where do I go? There's a lot of people out there that have no concept of a bug out location. They're not planning of a different place, but when they see this outsider who maybe they actually recognize is not from the area, and then suddenly you leave and it seems like you have your stuff together where you look like somebody who would be worth having around, or at least getting some supplies from, they might follow you because they got nowhere else to go. And in that situation, you might find yourself with a little bit of a mob in your backyard one night.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Yeah, we didn't get to discuss this topic earlier. I was flipping through my sheets and found it. Going back in the cities for supplies, let's say it is a pandemic that took its toll. All right, there's no services to pick up bodies. And the cities, with all the people there's going to be human waste everywhere. All right, and you're going in, there's going to be a lot of disease. All right, there's just too many people around, especially with body counts start adding up. So you're going to, okay, well, I got a hazmat suit, I'll be good. Now you're a bright beacon. Okay, so now you're definitely going to have somebody watching you. What is this guy? All right, so that's something to think about too.
Yeah, and in regards to something like a pandemic or any kind of a viral outbreak, it's one of those things where most of those zones are going to be quarantined, and if the government's had their way, they're going to try to shut down any kind of traffic between point A and point B. So if you're going into a quarantine zone just because you need supplies that badly, you also should be prepared for the fact that whatever's left in there is probably not going to be very welcoming, and also probably going to be extremely dangerous. Usually there's a good reason for quarantine, and if you're willing to cross that yellow tape because your hunger or your thirst is greater at that time than your sense of self-preservation, then you're signing up for whatever is left over in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you might be bringing something back with you to your loved ones. I mean, that's a tough one there, because when it comes to viral, you can't see it. You can't see the danger. All right, and you're taking a chance. That definitely comes to what you're willing to accept and try to prepare for. Yeah, and another danger in the cities is if there's enough time for anywhere from gangs to rogue groups, things like that, to set up a community, and you go in to basically loot, because now you're trying to get supplies, and they have set up a community system. You don't know what type of judgment laws are in place. I mean, looting something out of the grocery store might be a death sentence if you get caught. There's a lot of different things. I mean, people will always try to instill rule of law. It might not be our current rule of law, but someone is always going to try to be in charge. So now you're getting into turf wars. Even though you're not wanting a war, you just want to go in and get a can of corn. Well, now you're the looter. All right. Even though you're a prepper, now you're going in for supplies. That's their house now. So now you got to be prepared for any altercations that you're going to be running into, because there's millions of people. All right. I forget the actual population in America right now, but let's just say I go downtown Orlando. I already know there's over 1 million people down there. Am I good enough to go in without being seen? No. All right. Plain out simple. It's too many eyes. All right. Someone's going to notice me. All right, guys. So hopefully you enjoyed the video. Hopefully it helped get your brain thinking on some of those dangers. Of course, there's more dangers than that. And again, we're not saying that you can't enter the city. We're just saying be very careful entering the city. A lot of people have misconceptions of things. So yeah, definitely go check out Magic Prepper. You can definitely tell him I sent you. He's expecting you. So please go on over there, show some love. I mean, y'all show me a lot of love here. He's a really good guy. Leave comments for him. He's more than happy to answer things, any questions and stuff. So definitely go check him out. And yes, I've got my coffee. Now, to discuss the video a little bit, I actually wound up deleting a huge portion of our collaboration video by accident. We had just finished up. I was trying to upload things to the Dropbox, and I am not tech savvy. Somehow I wound up deleting a huge portion out before I even sent it. So hopefully, if y'all go over there to his channel, you can pick up the rest of the video where my feed stops, but he still has audio recording of us talking. So yeah, definitely go check out his channel, guys. And again, thank you all for sticking around and helping me out. Sure, we get some trolls on here, but for the most part, there's a lot of love, a lot of respect going on in our comment section, which, hey, preppers should be communicating, all right? And this is just an avenue for us too. So you guys have a great day, and I will talk to y'all later.